dive in of like you were submerged right into the show. You
No
know,
hesitation. No hesitation.
no
Full
hesitation
throttle.
whatsoever. Like it felt like a show that, and I've listened to some interviews with the cast because I know like a lot of the cast have come back together as of late and have like kind of talked about like kind of recalling
Reunion.
the previous like the filming of everything. And there was obviously this piece of like they didn't know whether it would like continue on, right? But the way that first episode like was shot, produced, filmed, presented, it felt like a show that had been going on for at least 2 seasons prior to that, right? I was like, we're just like right into the middle of this, but I mean, because you get hit immediately with like the with the big high school football player who's sleeping with another girl at school. You get hit with the coach, like game week, and of course, was it slamming Sammy Mead, like his voice
Yes.
coming in, like Texas football is here. Everybody, I mean, you get submerged right into the culture
And
of
that's a
what it
voice you're
is.
going to hear every
Yes,
episode. Like you
every
expect.
episode. Yes, every episode. And and the thing is, like, because I've obviously I have not my own personal self not taken in Texas football like at a high school level like that, but I know people who have been there, and they're like, yeah, I mean that's just how it is. It is literally so surreal, and you bank your whole sometimes you kind of bank your whole entire life off of whether you win on Friday night or not.
Man, absolutely. And getting to our first topic, kind of like what makes the show memorable years later. To me, it was a different type of high school football shows.
Yes.
I really highlighted the everyday lives of popular stars who so many times we get these like kind of vague descriptions of these players. This time we got like real in depth, like, hey, how are they on an every day to day basis? Texas football is king. Obviously, that was highlighted. All of that, and just like the interpersonal relationships of the coach's family and his daughter as well. I mean, there's so much in depth character analysis. So you kind of like what elements like kind of makes this show memorable even years later.
Yeah, it's a show that actually sticks to kind of what it knows best, right? And I mean no shade to like other shows that try to replicate it, but like All American, like it's All American is not about high school football, right? All American is about the lives of high schoolers that it somehow involves like football with that, right? Like football is almost a
Football
side
is
story.
barely
Yeah,
barely even
right.
touched
Yeah,
on.
it's a side story compared to this, right? But Friday Night Lights, like the central focus of this show is high school football in Texas, small town Texas, right? And then you kind of have the balance of life outside of that. So that's what kind of helps it stand on its own. And I mean, like again, just the people, the amount of like people who have had careers beyond the show. Like if you really think about it, and I'm thinking through this with you right now as I'm like talking this out loud. Like, you know, that's one of the few shows where like not just like one or two people kind of like spin off and have a pretty significant career beyond that, but at least 4 5, maybe six people have had like significant
Oh
movies,
yes.
TV shows, even be well beyond that, right? When we talk about Taylor Kish, right? I mean, he's carved. He starred in True Detective season 2. He starred in the latest season of the Terminal List with Chris Pratt recently, right? You think about Zach Gilford. He's kind of carved out his own space with kind of like indie films, right? Jason Street, the guy who plays Jason Street, Scott Porter, has had some kind of like WB shows, and he's also
Yeah.
like a pretty significant voice actor. Kyle Chandler, because Kyle Chandler was around long
Oh,
before he ever did Friday Night
well,
Lights, but
yeah.
like again, he's had things even beyond that. So, and then the girl who plays Tyra, her name's escaping me right now. Is it Adrienne Palaniki or something like that? But I
I
think
think
she
it
played
is.
in Agents of Shield, and I think she also played in John Wick. So she's had stuff all beyond that, and you just like, oh, like to see kind of how that cast is really, and of course we'd be remiss